Hey guys, and happy Thursday. We are going live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. We are live all over the place. Anywhere you think you want to be live, we are live. Today we're talking about heart health. If you were here, if you got to listen to our podcast this week, you knew that we started a whole new series all on heart health. And I really want to focus on a few different things for the next few weeks. I'm going to have a lot of speakers coming in to talk about heart health. But I also want to give you some proper information. I am going to switch my internet. Watching, and you can, most importantly, you can hear me, because we are always dealing with some good technical difficulties. And so give me a thumbs up, let me know that you're here. Seems like it's okay and we're going good. So I'm just going to go and get started. First up, I want to talk about stats. And the reason why I want to do this is because I know that we sometimes just don't even realize how big of an issue really chronic conditions and health conditions are. And so I really want to open up your eyes, open up your ears, open up literally your heart to what this information is telling us. Because a lot of times what I hear my patients or patients' family and friends, or even my family and friends saying is, oh, well, it's okay, it's not going to happen to me, or it's not in my genetic pool, or XYZ, they just think that they're invisible. And so the reality is I went and studied a couple of different places, and I got some stats. First off, from the CDC, straight from the CDC's website. So this is easily accessible. It's public knowledge. It's something that you can go in and look at for yourself. And the first thing that I found was that heart disease is the leading cause of death in America. That's heart disease is a leading cause of death in America. There's 647 deaths each year. 647,000 deaths, 647,000 deaths each year. I can't even say it right. It's so many people. And that means that equals out to about 1 in 4 deaths per year is of heart disease. There's $219 billion spent on heart disease. That's for medications, that's for surgeries, that's for all the things that the medical system uses to provide people care after they've been given a diagnosis of heart disease. 805,000 people in America have a heart attack. 1 in 5 of those heart attacks are silent. And so that means that they don't even know that they have it, and they continue going on, or they don't make it out alive, and they don't know that they had the symptoms of a heart attack in the first place. They call heart disease a silent killer because really you don't know you have it until it's too late. When we move down, or excuse me, 2,303 deaths per day because of heart disease. That is 38 seconds. Every 38 seconds, somebody is dying of heart disease and killing people right off the bat. When we look at what some risk factors are, and I want you guys to really understand this, because maybe if you heard those statistics, they still didn't hit home for you, but I really want you to dive in and put yourself within those statistics. Okay? because even still with these statistics, I want to go back up here for a second to the stats, because what's even more concerning for me is the amount of kids that are being diagnosed with heart disease, the amount of kids that are being diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even being put on these medications to fix these problems, but never really given an alternative, or going through really how to go after heart disease and treat it in a preventative manner. And so when we look at kids statistics, 11% of kids ages 8 to 17 have high blood pressure or borderline high blood pressure. 24 million kids ages 2 to 19 years old are obese and overweight. Obesity and being overweight are a direct correlation to your heart health. Direct correlation. I mean, and then we're going to go through some other things that are some risk factors. But the reality is as I go through these things, you're going to see that heart disease can be prevented through lifestyle. And they say that all over these websites. They say that on heart.org. They say that on CDC. They say that on the American Heart Association. But the problem is that they're not actually giving you lifestyle changes. Typically what happens is that somebody's going to go in, you get tested, you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, whatever's going on with your heart. Here's a medication, and also here's a pamphlet that you should probably read and understand and start implementing these things. But nobody actually sits down and has a conversation on how important these lifestyle decisions are. And so that for me is a massive, massive problem, because as I was going through all this stuff, I'm like, man, like every single one of these things is lifestyle related. And so what we're trying to do is medicate ourselves outside of back into reversing these diseases that we lifestyle our way into. And so we really got to understand what we're actually doing to our bodies and what that's causing over time. And so we're going to go into risk factors. And I want you guys to really, really, really get this and understand what this looks like and understand what's going on. Because the reality is that risk factors, diabetes, overweight and obesity, unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, excessive use of alcohol, and chronic inflammation. Risk factors. So that means that if you've got some of these things or any of these things, then that puts you in a higher state to be able to develop heart disease. Physical inactivity and unhealthy diet. Two of the leading reasons why people are developing heart disease in the first place. And yet people come in to a doctor's office and they're like, hey, I've been doing this. And sometimes they don't even review their lifestyle, or they just say, okay, you've got to change your lifestyle, but they don't give you direction. See, so here with Battle Ready, we really want to help you shift and change your view of what health is and stop living and succumbing to this unhealthy lifestyle, because the only way the only place that's going to lead you is to more disease. Now, when we think about that, we've got to really grasp that, and you matter too. Like, you are a part of that equation. You are part of that whole thing that 1 in 4 people are dying of heart disease. 1 in 4 people. Okay, so unhealthy diet and unhealthy physical inactivity, which also leads to diabetes, and it also leads to being overweight or obese. And then we throw in alcohol on top of that, which is loaded with sugar, and it's loaded with all kinds of other things. And we don't get the fact that we're not allowing our bodies to go through a healing process. And so that's the biggest problem through this whole entire thing, is that we're not allowing our bodies to go through a healing process. You've got to give your body time to heal. When you're sleeping at night, your body is healing. However, if you load yourself up with alcohol and junky food and don't work out for the day, then your body's just trying to play catch up. It's not even going through a healing process. And so we've got to allow our bodies a chance to heal when it comes to this. And so a couple of things that we're going to go into, I really want to focus on the unhealthy diet and the physical inactivity, because I believe that if we can really capture those two things, then you're going to see a major, major shift in your health. And specifically, the unhealthy diet is probably the hardest thing for people to address and to take care of, because the reality is that we are addicted to food. We're addicted to food, and we're not even addicted to good food. We're addicted to bad food. And so we really have to go through this shift, which is why that 27-day Kickstart that I have, it's going to just rip any addictions away from you. It's going to help set you up to change the taste buds in your mouth. It's going to help set you up to change the outlook that you have towards food, and to start seeing food as something that's fuel and not something that is a comfort or a blanket or something that's cozy. It's something that's really actually allowing your body to get back into the healing zone. So what I want to talk about first today is I want to talk about supplements, because I know that we're always confused on like, where do I start? Next week on this live, I want to go through some different dietary changes that we can start making. But today I want to focus on supplementation, and there's a few major hitters. I believe I'm going through 6 or 7 major supplements that we need to talk about. The first one is magnesium. And most every single person is deficient in magnesium. And I want to just let you know what magnesium does for you in your body. Magnesium is needed to activate, to create an activated form of ATP. ATP is basically the energy inside of your cells. It helps to feed mitochondria, and the mitochondria are really truly the powerhouses of your cells. It's the thing that makes you tick. It's the engine within your cells. When you have good mitochondrial function, your body is working. It's like you just oiled the machine, and everything can work right. You put the right kind of gas in your body, and everything's moving and grooving. However, if you have lower levels of magnesium in your body, then that's when we start to see mitochondrial dysfunction, especially in your heart. Magnesium also works to help distribute and metabolize calcium. So it's making sure that calcium gets to where it needs to go so that it doesn't build up in your arteries, aka plaque buildup in your arteries. We want to make sure that we have enough magnesium so that it can flow through and go to exactly where it needs to go. So what are some sources of magnesium beyond just taking a magnesium pill? Because I really believe that if we can source these things through food, that's where we're going to see the best amount of impact and most change for a lifestyle type of a thing. So number one is avocado. Not only is it a good source of magnesium, but it's an amazing source of really, really, really good fats. The others are raw nuts. And I say raw nuts because I don't want you to get them from the stores and have them be the kind that are already cooked, because typically they're cooked in bad oils that turn rancid quickly, or they're cooked at way too high of heat, which is damaging the DNA within the food. And so anytime you eat damaged food, damaged DNA food, that's going to be damaging to your cells as well. So something that could be good, which is nuts and or seeds, something that could be good for your body, can end up potentially harming it depending on how it's been cooked and denatured. So some examples for the right types of nuts that you should be having, cashews are really, really good, almonds, and then Brazilian nuts. Those are the 3 best magnesium-filled nuts that you can have. Again, I recommend getting those in a raw state. You can get them raw and organic. A lot of times I have them at places like Trader Joe's, and then even your Whole Foods or Fresh Time or places like that. Most places have resources nowadays. You just have to open your eyes and start looking for something else. Another good thing is legumes. Legumes are going to be full. Excuse me, I'm choking on something. Legumes are going to be full of magnesium, but just be careful. I notice a lot of times is that legumes can also create some inflammation if you abuse them and eat too much of them at one time. So just be careful with those. The next thing is raw seeds, things like flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. These are going to be loaded with magnesium. You can add these on top of a salad. You can throw them in a smoothie. You can make a little bitty trail mix of these 3 types of things, or different, you could put some cashews, almonds, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds into a trail mix, and you're feeding yourself really, really well there. Another thing would be good fatty fish. And this is going to come in handy for another area that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But wild caught salmon is loaded with magnesium. So make sure you get wild caught. It cannot be farm raised. Anytime you're eating farm raised food, you're not doing your body any good, and you're actually creating more harm because it's not raised in the state that it was intended to be. A lot of times it's got a much higher toxic load than it would if you get it from the wild. So wild caught fish is always a go-to. Next is green leafy vegetables. Probably some of my favorite things. Kale, I've talked about kale before in different podcasts and different videos, but I really, truly I just love kale, and I just love the benefits that there are for it. So kale, spinach, collard greens, turnip greens, and mustard greens are the highest sources of leafy vegetables with magnesium in it. And again, like you can just make a salad. A lot of times people have a hard time with kale because they say it's rough and crunchy. So something that I like to do is I like to take a bunch of raw kale, I put it in my bowl, I'll drizzle some olive oil in it, and then I'll start massaging the kale just a little bit to make sure it gets in there. And that's going to help to soften the kale without cooking it. So now you can have a nice big huge bowl of kale. And then I'll actually even sprinkle in some spinach in there. So I'll have a kale and spinach salad. And then I'll put some of the raw nuts and seeds that we have, or chop up some chicken or some steak, and that's like one of my go-to meals that I have on a weekly, daily basis. So that's something that I keep for my go-to things. Sometimes we think about our diets and we really end up trying to overcomplicate the things that we're putting into our bodies and we make these big, massive food plans, and it's like, but I've done that before too, and by the end of it, it's like I don't have, like, this is way too much food for me. I can't keep up with all the stuff that's telling me to do. And so then we kind of just go the opposite end and say, screw it, I'm not going to do it anymore. And so so just do the whole KISS scenario. Keep it simple, stupid. So just keep things simple. Next thing I want to talk about is vitamin D. Specifically, if you live in the northern hemisphere, if you're up in Midwest by me, if you're in the city in Chicago, then you are noticing that we haven't seen the sun in except for the one day that we saw, but it's been like 15 days without sun, and it has just been wearing on people's minds, people's hearts, people's health. And so I really just want to just advise you that you need to take vitamin D. I promise you that you are deficient. Even if you live in a lower hemisphere, if you live in a more warm climate, if you live near more of the sun, the reality is that we spend most of our time indoors. And so what happens with that is that we think that we're just because we live in a sunny place that we're getting enough vitamin D. And the reality is that we're under fluorescence more than we are under sun. So a couple things with vitamin D and heart disease. When you have a deficiency in vitamin D, it's associated with heart disease, it's associated with diabetes, and it's associated with metabolic diseases. This helps to regulate calcium distribution throughout the body. Again, we're talking about calcium. We're talking about getting calcium to where calcium is supposed to go. So a lot of times we don't even have a deficiency in calcium. We just have the inability to get calcium where it needs to go. And so we want it to get to the bones. We want it to do what it's supposed to be doing, but it ends up getting stored up and plaquing up in our arteries. So this helps to regulate distribution to and through the body. This also helps to control inflammation. So if you know that you're living in an inflammatory state, and how do you know that? If you are currently dealing with some sort of an illness or disease or a diagnosis, we know that inflammation is most likely related to that. And so we want to really address that. It helps to control inflammation. It also helps to control blood sugar. So if you are somebody who is struggling or knows that you have a family history of diabetes, this is going to be something that you want to put into your arsenal. Next thing is how much? That's a huge question I get a lot, is how much vitamin D should I be taking? the what's it called? The CDC, World Health Organization, they recommend that you should have about 400 to 800 IUs of vitamin D per day. And that we know from different researches that that's just not enough to sustain and maintain even maintenance. And so the minimum amount that you want to have is about 1,000 IUs per day for that. But what we really want to do is, if you're dealing with some sort of illness or something, you want to go about 1,000 IUs per 25 pounds of body weight. So let's say that you weigh 200 pounds, you should be taking 8,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. And that's going to help to regulate you. You can also we can do vitamin D testing to see exactly where your levels are and figure out exactly what the best course of action is. But a good rule of thumb is about 1,000 IUs per 25 pounds of weight that you have on your body. Good news that if you start losing weight, then you'll start having to take less vitamin D and things will start to get regulated better. Another thing I want to talk about is omega-3s. We've got omega-3, we've got omega-6, and we got omega-9. The two that are most commonly talked about are omega-6s and omega-3s. Problem, there's no bad omega, okay? Let's just get that out on the table. The problem, though, is that a lot of times we have, with the standard American diet or the most of the types of foods that people eat, we have a lot of omega-6s in our diets. So nearly nobody is deficient on omega-6. When you have an excess amount of omega-6, what starts to happen is that you begin to create an inflammatory state in your body. And that's why there's so much talk and research on how much omega-3 should we be taking. Because as soon as you start to elevate your omega-3, omega-6 starts to drop down, or it really doesn't drop. It just starts to kind of equal out in ratios. And once that happens, that's when inflammation gets just destroyed. And so we really want to make sure that when we're looking at omega-6s versus omega-3s, it's not that they're one's better than the other. It's just that if you have too much of the omega-6s, then you're really just increasing your inflammation in a crazy amount. And so we really want to help get that back in order. A couple things. This also helps to improve your cholesterol. So this is great for cholesterol. It's great for triglycerides, and it's also great for your blood pressure values. It improves calcium distribution. Yet another one. That's 3 in a row that we've been talking about that's going to help calcium get to where it's supposed to be and not get stuck in your arteries. So I think that's an important thing if it's a common theme that keeps on coming up. So increase your omega-3s while decreasing your omega-6s. As far as foods go, wild-caught salmon is amazing. Sardines, a good tablespoon of coconut oil every single day, and about a half of an avocado a day is going to be great for good omegas. And then also, if you have a good supplement that is going to help you get along with that, make sure it's a pure. Don't go to the big box stores and spend less to get more type of a thing, because it's a lot of times it's quality over quantity. If you have any questions, you can post the ingredients and the label in the Battle Ready Nation group, and I will give you my opinions on the supplements that you're taking. Next big one is curcumin, which is also known as turmeric. It is an Indian spice. It's one of the most researched spices out there, and it's research for a good reason, because it really does amazing things for your body. It's an anti-inflammatory, like directly. Like even if you're in pain, taking turmeric or curcumin is going to actually alleviate pain better than taking an ibuprofen. It's a powerful antioxidant, so it also helps to balance your cholesterol levels, and then it also helps to balance your calcium. So this must be a big thing that we're talking about. So we really want to make sure that we're balancing our calcium levels and it's getting to where it needs to go. When you combine curcumin with black pepper, that makes it more readily available and bioavailable in your body to be absorbed in the gut. Turmeric gets absorbed in the digestive tract, so that is why it is so important to make sure that your gut is healthy. So yes, I'm talking about gut again, because we know that gut has a direct correlation to heart health. I did a blog post in the Battle Ready blog, and it talks about how there's a correlation between, and I'll talk about this in a second, but it talks about how there's a correlation between gut health and heart health. And so we can't really fix one without fixing the other, because if we just go directly to your heart, that tells us that we're not getting directly to a cause. Another one is going to be glutathione. And I know that that's 5,000 times more powerful than vitamin C. It's an amazing antioxidant. It helps with anti-inflammation. It's an antioxidant, and also helps with detoxification efforts. It's naturally made in your liver, but it can also have, you can also take some supplements that are going to help to boost the glutathione uptake for that naturally inside of your body. Another thing is CoQ10. So this is another really, really big one. This is a fat-soluble antioxidant. It naturally occurs in your body, but the problem is that as we age, we increase in numbers, we increase in age, our CoQ10 availability decreases over time. And so why this is important is because it's another one of those things that helps your mitochondria to function properly. This helps your energy systems work right. It lowers inflammation, improves your cholesterol ratios, and helps to lower your blood pressure. When you have CoQ10 in your body, and we start to decrease as we age, then we lose the benefits of what CoQ10 is. And then we start to see that mitochondrial dysfunction. So the powerhouse dysfunction is directly associated with cognitive heart failure. And so that is an important thing that we have you guys start moving into when you want to have heart health. It also helps with your cognition, helps with your brain, helps with your thinking. Overall, it's just a really amazing, amazing antioxidant to be taking on a regular basis. The next big thing is, as I wrap this up, I want to give you guys some action steps. And so I named off some major supplements that I think would be beneficial for you to start diving into. You can ask questions. We can do some different panels and things like that if you want to. But magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3, curcumin, glutathione, and CoQ10. I think that if you start in that realm, that you are going to have some amazing success with that. And then the next thing is that we have to address your gut health. And that's where this 27-day plan comes into play again, because I know, like I was talking to somebody, two amazing responses already. We're only about 4 days into it for some people. Some people this is day 3. Somebody just lost, they told me they lost 7 pounds in just 4 days, not even 3 days. This is their 3rd day. Somebody else just finished up the 3-day bone broth cleanse, and they're moving into the food portion of it for the next 14 days. And again, this is really where we start to reset your gut, start to initiate healing in your gut, allow your body to start functioning the way that it's supposed to. And again, once you fix your lifestyle, you can fix your gut. Once you fix your gut, you're going to be able to fix your heart. Don't let it get too long where you can't reverse things. You're either, when we think about our health, we're either feeding our health or we're feeding our disease. You've only got 2 options. There's no staying stagnant. There's no being where you are. You're either doing one of 2 things. You're feeding your health or you're feeding your disease. And so you get to make that decision. You get to make that choice. It's not up to me. I don't have a say in that. All I can do is give you the options. The old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And so here's your water. There's an amazing plan available for you. Very inexpensive. Gives you exactly game plan on what you should be doing over the next 27 days. And the results are immediate. Like I said, I'm getting amazing feedback from people doing this challenge. And we've done this over the last years. And this is my favorite way to literally get a kickstart into your health. And then shift you into a lifestyle type of a decision making. And so, I'm excited for you guys. Keep on a lookout for different posts and things like that. I'll make sure that I post the the link for you guys to step into the what am I doing? I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. It doesn't really work all the time. And so I just, you remember this, guys, that you can heal without medication, but it does require you to put in the work, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that you can take another pill, potion, or lotion and it's going to be your immediate results. What I am telling you is that it is going to take a little bit of work, but once you get things under control, you're going to see you're having the best health, the best energy, the best lifestyle that you've ever had in your entire life. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. You can start today. We can tweak some things for you if you need to, but I'm telling you, this 27-day plan is the answer that you've been waiting for. It's super, super simple. There's not big, massive shopping lists. There's not big, massive plans. I've kept it really, really simple so that you can make it happen and you can succeed in this. If there's been other dietary things that you've done and you've just failed over and over and over again, I'm telling you, this 27-day thing is where to start, and watch this change your life. Guys, go out and have an awesome day. Keep on the fire, and bless somebody with this video. Share it, add it to a watch party or however that goes, but share it to people, tag them in it if they need to see it. It's not just about health of your heart, but it's about your health as a whole. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.